It's W6WAG Phil, Little Rock Phil.
Tell us about your brother in your own words.
Oh, my
Tell
brother,
us
he
what
was
you wanted to know.
he was a fun-loving individual. He gave what he had to anybody. He's always there to help physically or with advice. He shared everything he had with family and just a complete stranger. He loved his radios. Ever since he was a little kid, he'd hang out at the airport hangar in Whirlpool at Ross Field and talk on the radio and take him up flying. Then when they got the Learjet, they had him working and talking on the radio then. We lived where the heat kit factory was, and he used to get the parts in a box and put them together, and he just loved his radio, he loved sports, and he loved people. And
He loved people.
we'll gladly miss him.
Many of you might have seen him for the last time in Vegas when we had the OMAC convention there, and he had that wheelchair. I never saw anybody take a wheelchair and command it as well as he did, as fast as he did. He was doing wheelies in and out of circles at 2 o'clock in the morning and looking like he was having the time of his life. That's Phil. We will miss him, and we release his smoke to the heavens.
I'm sorry. We'll do it for you.
Yeah. On the other side. You already did this. This is the next one.
Oh, that's the next one. You got the next one.
K7EE Everett.
K7EE
Everett.
Everett from Seal
Marcia?
Beach, California. Where is
He's on
he?
Marcia.
Marcia?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
My husband Lou, K6UMX, knew Everett years and years and years ago when his kids were small, and he would look out on his porch, and there he would bring him a 10, 15-pound bag of potatoes or a bag of onions or whatever. He was very giving, and he would give to everybody. And so he would come by our house. He's never been married. He'd come by our house, and he stayed. He worked for the Marines out in, I don't know what you call it, when on the ships doing radio
Merchant
transmissions.
Marine. Radio operator.
Right,
Third officer on board ship.
That's right, and he would work that and stay out there for time and for years and years, and he'd come back home, and the first person he wanted to see is Lou, and so we went to his memorial, and it was very interesting, and everybody thought the world of him, and he was a giving man, and so that's really all I have to say about Everett.
Everett.
You pull the next one.
I pull the next one?
Uh-huh.
Okay. All family members aren't hams for WARFA.
Recognize the
We
ones that
recognize
they
all
lost.
of them. Okay?
Thank you.
You betcha.
Bobby's mother.
Oh,
We
yes.
lost Bobby's mother this past week.
A couple weeks ago.
Come on, Henny. Pick
Okay.
one.
Well, I'm right in the middle, son. Are you coming?
You got it. Go. I can't do that.
You don't think so, huh?
KD6 SA Jerry. Come on, somebody. Jerry.
Stay here. That's okay. I need some help.
Yeah.
Jerry was a terrific guy. He was my best friend. We spent a lot of time together, and we did a lot of really fun things.
Okay.
And he was a real supporter of WARFA. He loved all you guys very much. He's going to be missed by everybody around here. And all I can say is you'll never find a nicer guy. And we're going to miss him. We're going to miss him a lot.
Until yesterday, I thought of all the WARFA people, I thought I knew Jerry the longest. 'Cause I've known him since about 1973 or 74. I found found out Bob got me beat. He knew him in the early 60s. Wow. But there's another thing I found out right after, or right during the memorial service, and Gary just said it again. Gary said he was my best friend. And I noticed that everybody was saying that. And I always thought he was my best friend all these years since 1973. But that's the kind of guy Jerry was. No matter who he knew, he made you feel like you were his best friend. And I miss him terribly. He actually taught me a lot of things about antennas. And I was at a point, I'm the kind of guy who thinks I know everything, and he taught me things. And I just miss him, a wonderful human being. That's all you can say about him.
Salute Jerry's coach. He's here forever.
Memorial service was amazing. They had, as I heard the story, they had 350 chairs out, and they added another 50 chairs. And we had our own little ham radio section that we must have had 60 or so. I don't know. I never counted. Just ham radio operators. And I'm getting a little wishy about it. So. All right, next on our list here is AD6AM, Jim. Anybody have anything to say about Jim?
Bill, have your seat.
86 AM was Jim Greenwood. Jim lived over in a little area called Pittsburgh, and Jim was handicapped. He had fallen off a roof and basically was handicapped from that fall. But he would always come on the radio and he would say, hi, this is 86 AM in the PM. He came down by train. I think Kay and I picked him up one year, and I think Moody said, I think he picked him up. Yeah, set up a pup tent over here. And that's how he came to the retreat. Yeah. And he was very well liked within the community over there. But we will miss him, and I will miss him too. That's it.
Wind got us again.
K6HXX, John.
San Diego?
John was KA6HXX when I first met him. He lived out in Redlands. An avid amateur television adherent at the time. I mean, we had some job to do on the mountains. We had to go right by his house heading up to him. I had a repeater site at Sangagorno, Little Sanji, 9,100 feet up. And John had started to suffer respiratory problems even then. But he would go up there huffing and puffing, pulling cable and helping me keep that repeater on the air. And he'd get mad with me if I left him. We had to stop and pick him up on the way up that mountain. There were times when the weather was pretty bad and he had a four-wheel drive. We'd end up going up. His son called me after he passed away and said he was just so happy to hear the WARFA retreat over the air. It just kind of blew the family away. The whole family was so appreciative of this group. So John was WARFA before he knew there was a WARFA. Everybody's saying he cared, and so did John. So we release his memory, the smoke in his memory to the night. The last name in the basket, KC6PFT, Murtis Oliver, the wife of Homer Oliver, who was one of our founding members. And that lady stayed with us at wherever we were, when we were at King City, when we were here. It's not supposed to be there, move that. Most of you remember Murtis. Murtis passed, she left us up in Sacramento. And it's not easy to talk about your friends at a time like this, but I choose to remember the good times. And there were lots of good times with Murtis and her family, and we certainly miss her. You miss her voice, chattering with the women, and the guys, because she refused to let you have a meeting out here without her. I'm a ham, she said. Very, very bright, hardworking. She was a nurse, registered nurse. I used to run into her every now and then at medical meetings, and she was just as busy with her nursing group as she was with the ham group.